Morning, everyone. Welcome to a new lockdown lesson on Monday morning. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. You all feel rested. I don't know. Lockdown obviously restricts our ability to do stuff, but I hope that you had some opportunity to kind of explore your space in different ways than during the week. So this series this week, I have in my head to work specifically on the non-dominant side of the body. That is kind of more or less confusing if you think that different parts of the body might be more dominant. So in one function, one side might be more dominant. On another function, another side might be more dominant. So for example, you might have a different dominant eye than you have a dominant hand. For the most part during this week, I'm going to focus on one side of the body. So that means for me, I'm going to focus on the left side of my body, as my right hand is my dominant hand. So that's the kind of general principle for the series of lessons this week. That of course means that the lessons this week are going to be very one-sided. If you don't like that, then I would encourage you to do the lesson again to explore the other side, but I won't be teaching both sides. In some way, that provides a really nice environment in yourself for noticing the differences between the sides. You know, as you work with just one side and you see improvements in that side, then you can compare it to the other side, which may have been better beforehand. So that's the general premise. Today's lesson is going to be looking at the shoulder blade, and I think that it's an important part of the body, and one that is not necessarily well understood or well known about in our own internal experience. As an example of that, most of the time, if I search for an image, it's quite easy to find a specific term or part of the body. It's easy to find an image on the image site that I use to generate the images. However, if you search shoulder blade, there were 3 pictures that showed people's shoulder blades. Plenty of images of people's backs, plenty of images of people's shoulders, but no images or hardly any images of people's shoulder blades, or with the tag shoulder blade. So I think it's safe to say from that it's not an area we often think about, because it's kind of behind us, and obviously we use our arm. We think about our arm and our hand all the time, and maybe our back or the back of us kind of gets left out of the picture or the sense of ourselves. So today's lesson is going to be how to bring your shoulder blade back into your sense of yourself, or in other words, loving your shoulder blades. So what I'd like you to do is first make the judgment for yourself what your dominant hand is, and then we're going to work on the opposite side, so the non-dominant side. Then, when you've done that, take a moment just to kind of tune in with yourself and feel how you're sitting. Are you in a comfortable position for yourself? Could you do some movements of the shoulder blade from the position you're sitting in? Or some movements of the shoulder initially, okay? And then just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take a moment to check in with yourself, and maybe you can feel for yourself, just as you sit there with your eyes closed, does one shoulder feel higher than the other? So you can feel in comparison your left shoulder versus your right shoulder. For the purpose of this lesson, I will use the left description, the left side, as the thing that I'm working with. But if your non-dominant side is your right side, please just swap over the description or the instructions. So can you feel if your 2 shoulders are different, like a different level? if you had one of those spirit levels that had a little bit of water in it, would it be kind of heading down towards your left shoulder or heading down towards your right shoulder? Can you sense if there's any difference in the height of them? And then further than that, is it possible to sense if one shoulder is slightly further forward than the other? If you had a kind of, if you were pressed up against a wall, for example, or you had something in front of you, would your right shoulder be further forward than your left shoulder, or your left shoulder be further forward than your right shoulder? Is there any difference in the kind of the forwards relationship of either shoulder? Great. And then feel back behind you into the shoulder blades, and the shoulder blades are, here's my little guy. The shoulder blades are these two bones here that join in with the shoulder. Okay, so the shoulder structure includes the shoulder blades. Can you feel back into your two shoulder blades, and can you feel for yourself if either shoulder blade is closer to your spine? Is there some sense that one shoulder blade is a little closer, a little more inwards towards the spine than the other, or a little more outwards away from the spine than the other? Good. And then just notice your breathing underneath your shoulder blades. Take a moment just to let yourself breathe and to feel the kind of the structure of the shoulder, how high it is, how far forward it is, and gently bring your attention to the non-dominant side. So for me, that's the left side, the left shoulder. What I'd like you to do is just make a tiny movement of lifting the left shoulder away from the ribs, high, or going higher. So you just make a small movement, and as you make that small movement, see if you can feel at the back that the shoulder blade is kind of traveling up the ribs and traveling down the ribs. As you lift the left shoulder, you can feel in some way that the shoulder blade is kind of coming along for the ride, coming up the ribs and down the ribs. Just do it very gently. See if you can keep breathing as you do it. So you've kind of got a very small, subtle movement to do. The attention is resting on your breathing. And at the same time, you've kind of got the sense of how the shoulder is lifting up. So that's the movement. The attention is on the breathing and what's happening with the shoulder blade. Good. Okay, the next time you do it, in fact, actually, let's do this before. So just a few times, take your left ear down to your shoulder. Just very gently, just a small movement. It can be a centimeter or an inch, but just stay within your comfortable range. Take your left ear down as if it wants to listen to your left shoulder. Good. And as you do that and you make this movement of the head, can you keep your attention on your breathing and your shoulder blade and see if there's any change in your shoulder blade? So now in some way we're moving the ribs underneath the shoulder blade. Good. Just do it a few times just to feel that. And once you've done it a couple of times, at the same time, lift your shoulder towards your ear, as if you want to, you're attracted, the two are attracted to each other. Like two magnets that are pulling towards each other, the ear and the shoulder coming towards each other. But again, see if you can keep in your attention what's happening with your shoulder blade behind you. Notice as the head comes down, as the ear comes down to meet the shoulder, there's some gentle bending in the spine. As the spine changes shape slightly, that changes the relationship of the shoulder blade initially. Good, and take a rest. And just come back to feeling the, or comparing the height of the two shoulders. As you started the lesson and you compared the height of the left shoulder versus the height of the right shoulder, just after doing a few movements with the left shoulder, does it feel a little different now? Has something changed? Good. Okay, so now what I want you to do is just turn your head a few times to the left. Almost as if your eyes could look down at your left shoulder. Your eyes could look down at your left shoulder. Just to see the left shoulder, to see where it is physically. If your eyes are closed, maybe you can open them and actually look, like how much of the left shoulder can you see? Good. Once you've done it, the movement a couple of times with your head and your eyes, can you lift your shoulder towards your eyes as you turn your head? As those two now are attracted to each other, turning the movement of the head and the shoulder coming up. Again, can you feel your breathing? And can you feel the movement of the shoulder blade against the back? Take it very slowly. Good. Turning to look towards the left shoulder, at the same time lifting the left shoulder as if it wants to come towards the eyes. Great. Okay, take a little rest. As you rest, just again feel the comparative height of the two shoulders. And then what I'd like you to do is very gently move your left shoulder backwards. Your left shoulder backwards. As you move your left shoulder backwards, feel that in some way you're taking the shoulder blade closer towards the spine. This might be a small movement for you. Just try it. Take the left shoulder a little backwards, can be a really small movement, and feel how as you move the left shoulder backwards, in some way you're taking the shoulder blade towards the spine. Okay, so just see if you can feel that relationship between taking the left shoulder backwards and the shoulder blade, the left shoulder blade coming towards the spine. You might also feel a little bit of rotation. As you take the left shoulder back, you might feel some rotation in your spine. See if you can begin to turn your head to the left as you take the left shoulder backwards, as if you're kind of following the movement of the shoulder. Again, take it very slowly, very gently. The head has a higher degree of freedom to turn than the shoulder does. So listen to how much movement is available for your shoulder and stay within that range. Don't go further than that. Don't take the shoulder into a position it's not comfortable with. Again, as you stay in your comfortable range within movement, that gives your system the opportunity to learn and to explore, and that can potentially change your comfortable range. If you go past your comfortable range into feelings of strain or even pain, that's going to make your system close up and make the opportunities for learning less. So staying within your comfortable range as you do this movement, taking your shoulder back, feeling your shoulder blade come towards the spine, turning your head a little to the left. Good. And rest. And now feel for your two shoulders, the kind of comparative sense of your two shoulders, is your left shoulder further forwards or further backwards now than the right shoulder? Do you feel any difference between those two? And even, how do the two shoulder blades feel at the back of the body? Are you more aware of the left shoulder blade than you are of the right shoulder blade? Is there some sense of kind of difference in your perception of the two shoulder blades? Great. Okay, a few times, turn your head just a little to the right, and feel as you turn your head a little to the right, that introduces a little bit of rotation in the spine. And you could allow the left shoulder to drop very gently forward or to come forwards as you turn your head to the right. Feel how, as you do this, you take your head to the right, look to the right, the left shoulder comes a little forwards, moves forwards in space, that the left shoulder blade can move away from the spine. Good. Come back to the middle. And just do that movement a few times, turning the head to the right, taking the left shoulder forwards, feeling how that changes the relationship between the shoulder blade and the spine on the left side. Again, can you notice your breathing as you do this? Tracking all the time the kind of relationship between the shoulder blade and the spine and your breathing. Good. One or two more times. And come back to rest in the middle. As you rest in the middle, again, notice any difference you feel between the width of the body, how wide the left shoulder is in comparison with the right shoulder, how far forward the left shoulder is in comparison with the right shoulder, how high the left shoulder is in comparison with the right shoulder. Good. Now what I'd like you to do is imagine that you've got a pen on the sort of the tip of the shoulder, and you're just going to draw a little circle, tiny little circle with the shoulder, a forward circle. So I'm going back and up, forwards and down, back, up, forwards and down. But the movement, you can see it's very small. And all the time, as I'm doing that small circle, I'm paying attention to the relationship between my shoulder blade and the spine. Almost like I'm giving my back a massage with my shoulder blade. Can you keep breathing as you do this movement and make it very small? If it's challenging, do it in your imagination. What you're looking for is a sensation of ease and simplicity that really allows the system, on the nervous system, the brain to kind of like connect these things in a nice way, in an organized way. Good, take a little rest. Just again, feel your two shoulder blades. Compare your left shoulder blade with your right shoulder blade. How do they both feel now? What's the sense of them? What's your sense of them kind of, at the back of you? There's one increased in your awareness. Good. When you're ready, begin to make a small circle, taking the shoulder backwards, downwards, forwards, and upwards. So this is the counterclockwise circle. Very small, keep it very delicate. Feel your breathing the whole time as you do it. Feel the movement of the shoulder blade on the back. How is the shoulder blade moving? Can you feel when the shoulder blade comes towards the spine as you move the shoulder forwards? Sorry, as you move the shoulder backwards, and then away from the spine as you move the shoulder forwards. Good. Begin to turn the head. Begin to turn the head just a tiny amount as you take the shoulder forwards. Turn the head to the right. As you take the shoulder backwards, take the head to the left. So you're just exploring the movement of the shoulder and helping facilitate that relationship with the spine by turning the head just a small amount. Good. Okay, and take a rest. Just notice your breathing as you let your two shoulders rest, or your left shoulder rest. Notice how you're breathing. And maybe you can notice the kind of overall sensation on the left side of the body. So as we work with one specific area, the improvements aren't just localized, they also generalize when you work in this way. So maybe you can feel a change in the left side of you in a general sense. The left side of your face, left side of your abdomen, the left leg. Is there some kind of more global change in the left side of you? Good. Very gently, just lift the left shoulder. Do the movement that we did right at the beginning. Feel how that feels now. How is the shoulder available to lift? Is it different from when you started the lesson? Take your left ear a little towards the left shoulder. Feel that relationship again. As if you want to kind of like bring them into contact, but you don't need to get there. Just like bringing them towards each other and then a little away. They separate and they come together. Good. Okay, again, a few times. Take your left shoulder a little forwards. Turn your head a little to the right. And then bring the left shoulder back. Turn your head a little to the left. And just feel that kind of relationship. The shoulder blade coming away from the spine as your head turns to the right. Keep the head turning, turn to the left. Shoulder blade comes, or the shoulder comes backwards slightly. The shoulder blade comes towards the spine. See if you can guide this movement from the shoulder blade itself. The shoulder blade coming towards the spine, very gently, and coming away from the spine. Good. And then just make it more subtle, make it smaller. Stay really within a very small range, as if you're just coming off the midline, coming back, just coming off the midline. Can you make your shoulder blades skillful? Can it kind of guide the body's movement in some way? Okay, and then rest. Notice how you're breathing, how you're sitting on the chair, and what's the kind of comparative sense between the left shoulder and the right shoulder? How do they both feel to you now? Is there any difference in the height between the two? Is there any difference in how far forward one is versus the other? You may even notice a difference in the tone, or the kind of like the inner sensation of the left shoulder versus the right shoulder. And maybe that affects the rest of the body, the left side of the face, etc., etc. Okay, So that's today's lesson. Like I said, we're just focused on one side of the body in these lessons this week. If you want to, if you feel uncomfortable with that, you can always do another 20 minutes and watch the lesson again and do it on the other side. There's a bit of me that would advise or give or encourage, I think, not advise, encourage you to just feel the difference for a bit on the left side before going over and repeating the lesson on the right side. So you give your system a chance to feel the differences between the two sides. That has an impact on the nervous system, and the nervous system will automatically make adjustments. Bring the right more in line with the left. Great. Okay, so that's today's lesson. What did I think I was going to do for tomorrow's? Anyway, I'll post that tomorrow. So thank you for watching. Let me also just say to everyone that's donated so far, that's so appreciated by me. It's really lovely to kind of receive that kind of acknowledgement that the lesson has been valuable in some way. It's kind of really, it makes me feel that I'm kind of doing the right thing, and that's a good thing for people if they value it in that way. If that's not something that's available for you, if making a donation is not possible for you, there are other ways that you can show your appreciation. For example, you could share the lesson with your friends, or you could write a little what do they call, review on my Facebook page, or just give me, you know, maybe a little testimonial or something. So there's other ways that would be valuable to me to contribute if money is not an accessible contribution for you. So again, thank you all for watching. Your time also is valuable to me. So the people that are watching, I really value that as well. If you want to rewatch the lesson, you can do so in my YouTube, my Facebook community group. You can watch them on YouTube. And if you want to share the lesson, head over to my Facebook page and click share on the video that you want to share. I will be back tomorrow. This morning I had a meeting earlier, so it meant I had to push back the lesson, but my aim is to do them at 11 in the morning. So that's a rough time estimate for you, if that's helpful. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. If you want to write in the comments anything you felt in the lesson, anything you thought was interesting, I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear from you in general. Okay, have a good day. Take care. Bye.